Well, good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, Ben.
You've certainly been playing with the audio there, haven't you?
Well, you've been playing with your videos, haven't you?
Yeah, well, just really making sure that they work. But
I'd
how
just
are
like
you?
to say, before we start, if you've come to us as a new subscriber on YouTube from any of our shorts, hang in there because we are actually quite funny.
Well, we like to think we're funny anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a longer form video though, so it won't be over in 30 seconds.
No, it definitely won't. We are live. We are uncensored, and we are going to laugh at the news.
Yeah. And how many subs have we picked up in the last 3 days, Ben?
A fair few.
Yeah, about 30 odd.
Yeah, about 30 odd, which is always good. I'm just gonna queue up the intro, and John.
I'd like to welcome one and all to this episode 150 of Chasing Dissent Live with your hosts, John and Ben. And that's it, 150 episodes.
Well, that's it. 150 episodes. How are you this afternoon then, John?
Yeah, I'm pretty good actually. I've had my coffee, I've had my lunch, I'm good to go.
You're not grumpy?
Not at the moment.
Not
I'm
at the
sure
moment.
something will happen to make me so, but...
Well, there is plenty going on in the world. We're seeing information that we can't confirm right now, but we are seeing information that PayPal have reinstated the $2,500 fine for quote-unquote misinformation, aren't we, John?
Well, are we? Because you sent me a link and the tweet's no longer available, so I haven't seen the information. I've seen other people jump on it since, but that's not the original. So, is it true or is it not? That's the question. Is it just somebody responding to something that happened 2 weeks ago that PayPal rescinded, or is it PayPal being stupid and wanting to destroy their business as well as everything else?
Well, I'm going to say it's the latter because I just clicked the link that I sent you and it's gone straight through to the tweet just fine.
Oh, there you go. So I stand me corrected. So I click on links that don't work. I'm being censored. But regardless of that, where was it from? Disclosed TV.
Yeah, and they've given references here, so we can go directly to PayPal's website, which I'm doing right now, and it's right here. Prohibited activities.
And what does it say?
Violate any law, statute, or regulation, relate to transaction involving narcotics, steroids, certain controlled substances, or other products, risk to consumer, drug paraphernalia, cigarettes, items that encourage, promote, facilitate, or instruct others to engage in illegal activities, stolen goods, including digital and virtual goods, the promotion of hate, violence, and racial forms of intolerance, and its discriminatory or the financial exploitation of a crime, items that are considered obscene, items that infringe or violate any copyright, trademark right, or publicity or privacy, or any other proprietary rights under the law, certain sexually oriented activity, services, ammunition, firearms, certain weapons or knives.
So what's new? That's been there for years. That's been there since inception.
Yes, I'm struggling to find where it says it.
Do you think someone's gone and looked at their terms and conditions and said, "Oh, look, they've reinstated this fine," when that fine's been there for years, right?
Yeah.
And it applies to the conditions that everyone signed up to at the time. But nobody reads these things, do they?
Okay,
I don't read them. Did you read them?
On the second link in the related tweets here, and this is another paypal.com/US web apps, it's their own site. It does indeed say that part of their restricted activities is provide false, inaccurate, or misleading information.
To whom?
Well, that's not clear, is it?
No, that's not clear. So, how can they take action on that?
No idea.
This will not stand. It will not stand in a court of law.
It couldn't do, could it? It couldn't.
It couldn't.
Because who decides? Who decides what is false, inaccurate, or misleading?
PayPal, arbiter of truth. So I don't quite understand what's going on here, because people were saying that PayPal were offering them money, and in some cases substantial sums, up to 50 quid, to stay with PayPal when they said they were going to cancel their account. So what's the score? Is this happening or isn't it? This whole thing is a minefield of misinformation.
Yeah, and I just don't trust. I don't trust a financial organization that's supposed to be
anyone.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be dealing solely with my finances, and it wants to tell me what is and isn't true. That's
yeah, okay. Having said that, what's the difference between walking into your bank and them saying, well, you're not getting the money unless you tell me what you're going to buy with it?
They're doing that, though, aren't they?
That's what I mean.
They are doing that.
What's the difference?
But there is no difference, and it's none of their goddamn business.
Exactly.
It's none of their goddamn business. And with that, John, should we get into our list of news for the day?
Let's do it.
Right. So, oh my God. I don't know what's going on here.
What?
Well, for some reason, it's not lined up right. It doesn't look right. Look at that.
We should be starting with Elon.
Yeah, I know, but look, it looks awful.
Well, what have you done?
I haven't done anything.
Okay, it just happened. Well, as I said, what is it?
Let me just.
OBS is a piece of shite, and it's a fucking liability. And it's time we started making money and buying some decent equipment so as we can provide a polished show instead of this fucking shit show that we're doing just now. And now I'm grumpy.
Look.
So there you go.
Look, I've fixed it.
Yeah, it looks really fixed.
It is. It's fixed.
It's getting there.
It's fixed. Look.
Well, hold on. Give me 5 minutes. Well, it's still not aligned right.
It will be in.
Digging about.
There we go. Now it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go. My apologies about that. I don't understand quite why that happened, but you're right. OBS is a liability. Our first item for the day.
You know exactly why it happened. It happened because you updated OBS last night.
I didn't update OBS.
You said you did.
No, you
updated Windows. Yeah, and then OBS stopped running.
Yes, it did.
That's why. The whole thing's a shit show. Windows is a shit show. OBS is a shit show. This is a shit show. The world's a shit show. And speaking of shit shows, Elon Musk goes and buys a sink and strolls into Twitter HQ. Saying maybe it'll sink in now for the lift.
Yes, it looks like Elon, he went and bought a bathroom sink from Bed Bath & Beyond before turning up at Twitter HQ in San Francisco. I don't know if Bed Bath & Beyond is still a thing, but he certainly went to some sort of bathroom store, purchased a brand new sink and walked in just for a meme, just to create a lol, to have a laugh. You've got to hand the man. You've got to hand the man his props here, because he is just one massive troll. And if you've got the money to be, why not?
Right? What I'd like to know is, I've watched the video and there's nobody there.
No, there's not.
Are they all working from home? Because they're not going to be allowed to do that.
They all want to work from home, don't they? If you've seen that letter that they put out, they want to work from home. They're demanding that Elon Musk allow them to.
You know what Elon thinks about working from home?
Yes.
He thinks they're all a bunch of fucking soap-dodging, work-shy assholes.
Yes. And moving on to the next slide, we have a video, don't we?
Yes, we do. Let's listen to Elon.
Hello, video. I cached it all earlier as well. It's not working. Oh, there we go.
They have been working on an edit button for a year.
Well, it's a tricky situation. And it's incredibly complex.
Yes, one, indeed. I mean, we don't even have an app that's as good as WeChat in China. In China, you can live on WeChat, basically. It's like, everyone's like, you live on WeChat, you do payments, you do everything. It's like, it's great. Basically, WeChat's kick ass. And we don't have anything like WeChat outside of China. So I was like, my idea would be like, how about if we just copy WeChat? Hey, copy them.
Buys Twitter, copies WeChat.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
Buys Twitter, copies WeChat.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Doesn't bode well, does it?
Doesn't bode well at all. Doesn't bode well. Well, it depends on what you mean by bode well. If it's going to be control, if it's going to be a control mechanism, no, it does not bode well. If it's simply going to be a tool for the benefit of mankind, different. It depends what way you look at it, and it depends not just on what way you look at it, but what way it is used, what way it is utilized.
Well, yeah, I suppose it depends on his understanding of WeChat and how much it's integrated into their social credit system.
It's definitely, WeChat is definitely, it's a control mechanism more than anything else, as you say, because all of their lives are essentially spent on WeChat. Their transactions are done on WeChat. Once the CBDC over in China is fully integrated, the digital yuan, I think it's called, it will all be passed through that, and it will create a profile of somebody that can either make or break them in the eyes of society, in the eyes of the law. And if they go and do the same thing here, that's bad. That's bad for civilization, that's bad for society, that's bad for you, that's bad for me, that's bad for everybody, because once again, the person in control of it is in control of you. But if it's simply used as a tool, because we listened to that Twitter all hands meeting where he said he wanted to use it, basically integrate his own version of YouTube into it. He said integrate payments and wallets and things like that into it. And if it is simply used in that sense as a tool, fine. So it all depends on him, because he's the man that's going to own all of this. Do we trust him? Do you?
I don't trust anyone.
Well, no, me either. I don't trust anybody either. But the point is, if he gets what he wants...
Right, I mean, Elon's a bit of an oddball character. You've got to remember, this guy's also funding that research about putting implants in your brain. Right? And he's killed quite a few monkeys doing so, in excruciating agony by all accounts. And he wants to try it on people. So he's not just a good guy, you know. He's like everyone else. He has his flaws, and if one of his flaws slips into, you know, becoming like God Emperor of the world, then that might be good for us, but it might be bad, because as I've always said, in real terms, if you have a benevolent dictator, you're probably better off than if you have a democracy, because a democracy, 33% of the people really make the rules up for everybody else. Because nobody else bothers voting, or they voted and didn't get in. So really 30, in fact, sometimes it's even only 25% of the people make the rules for the majority. And so democracies don't really exist as we know them.
They don't work.
Well, they certainly don't exist as we think democracy should work, because it's not majority rule, it's minority rule. And show me a country that isn't minority ruled.
Absolutely.
Once you take it all into account, then unfortunately the people that won that election didn't really vote for the people that are in.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the Tories won a massive majority with something like 35% of the vote, right?
Exactly.
And they win like an 80-seat majority.
So 75% of the people either didn't vote for the Tories. Well, 75% didn't vote for the Tories. That's not to say 75% of people voted, but 75% didn't vote for the Tories. So we have a minority ruling the majority. And that's exactly the same for every other democratic, so-called democratic country. There is no democracy.
No, democracy is an illusion. And it does take a long time to come to that conclusion, to come to that determination, but you can get there. And when you do get there, you certainly start to look at the entirety of the world in a different way. I think the last 2.5 years have opened the eyes of many people. It's not just democracy that's an illusion. It's freedom. Freedom's an illusion. Rights are an illusion. Because who hands you your rights? Who decides what rights you do and don't have?
Well, no one should hand you your rights. Your rights should be yours.
But they're not, are they?
Inherent. Well, see, this is the problem.
But they're not. No.
You don't have it. Let's face it. You actually don't have any rights.
No, you have the rights that whoever you supposedly put in power grant to you. That's not a right. That's a privilege, is it not?
Yeah. You don't have any rights, and if you think you do, you've got an awful lot of money.
So we're going to move to the next slide. Whilst talking about rights, and this tweet here from the Pacific, this headline from the Pacific, I can't tell whether or not it's parody. I just can't tell. I can't tell.
Well, there's a couple of things we can take from this tweet. So Musk's Twitter takeover threatens our democracy with unrestricted speech. One, you don't have a democracy, okay? No? We've just explained that. Yeah. There is no democracy. The minority are ruling your country as much as they rule our country.
Yes.
Much like any other country. So they don't threaten your democracy. Unrestricted speech doesn't threaten any democracy because democracies don't exist.
Yep. Unrestricted
speech allows people to say what they think. People don't like this because it might hurt somebody's feelings. Right? But in this day and age, feelings is actual violence. So that allows you to go out and punch somebody in the mouth if they don't like what you said, if you don't like what they said. No, it doesn't. But so why do people think real words are real feelings, are real hurty pain things?
No.
So the whole thing's just a mishmash of confusion and woke nonsense.
And you know what? I think that only good, and go with me on this, because I think only good can come from unrestricted speech. And yes, that means all of the hateful, horrible, narcissistic, racist, sexist, homophobic, all of it. Because that way, I can identify these people. When you tell these people that they can't speak, they can't express themselves, they can't tell you what they really think, you could become best friends with an actual white hood-wearing white supremacist and not even bloody well know it. Okay?
In fact, allow me to adjust the slides as we speak.
Okay.
So don't go into the next one yet.
Okay, but I'll continue making my point. And my point is that these hateful, horrible, disgusting, narcissistic things that people would say makes them identifiable. And when people say that it's freedom of speech, not freedom from consequences, they are right. Okay? But the consequences don't have to be legal. They don't have to be your job. They just be that I can mock you, I can deride you, I can tell you that you're wrong, and I can know who you are. Because I know it's cliche, but the term sunlight is the best disinfectant is actually true. I want all of these people and their real views out in the open. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear bigotry, and I know that's a buzzword or I want to hear it because I want to know who I'm dealing with. And without people being able to be honest and open and speak what they feel and think, you can't get a measure of who that person is or what they believe.
Absolutely. And as an example,
I will move to the next slide.
Tim for all here isn't really Tim for all. Tim's just Tim for things I believe in.
Right.
As he calls for the suspension of Nadia Whitome because her tweet is disgraceful. Now, I've read this tweet. Ben, if you want to read it out, that's fine. The tweet has since been deleted. I don't see anything in that tweet that I could construe as disgraceful. I may not agree with it. I may agree with it. That's entirely up to me as an individual. It's entirely up to you as an individual whether you do so either.
So,
but why should anyone have their voice taken away because they're saying what their opinion is?
So, Nadia Whitome, MP, this is her words, not mine, says Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister isn't a win for Asian representation. He's a multi-millionaire who, as Chancellor, cut taxes on bank profits while overseeing the biggest drop in living standards since 1956. Black, white, or Asian, if you work for a living, he is not on your side. And once again, I don't know what you could construe as wrong with this, right? Maybe
there's a problem.
Isn't she... Well, I don't want to presume Nadia's race here, but...
Well, does it matter? I mean, this isn't a race issue. She's made statements there that are factually correct.
Yes, but it's not. It wouldn't be Nadia that's making it a race issue. What Tim for all here is saying is, where he's going with this.
All he said is the tweet is disgraceful. No, so Tim for all is an arsehole.
Yeah.
I mean, what's disgraceful about that tweet? There is nothing disgraceful about that tweet unless you yourself are a racist.
Well, exactly right. And you know what? This is why I call the wokies the biggest racists going, because they fucking well are. They are the biggest racists on the planet. They look at everything through the lens of your skin colour. They want to divide you by your skin colour. They want you to get a job or not get a job. based upon your skin color. And then they want to tell you that you're a racist for saying we should treat everybody equally. Doesn't matter what they look like, who they sleep with, who they pray to. Are they good for the job? What do they believe? What do they do as actions in their lives? When you want to look at people on an equal basis, on an equal playing field, you get called a racist in 2022. I don't quite understand it. But this is why I say, and I contend, that these people project their own racism, sexism, whatever, on you to try and justify their absolute bile and hatred.
So I asked him, well, someone asked him this morning if he was a fascist for making such a tweet, because it seems to be he just wants to take people's voices away. And the last people I knew that did that were fascists.
Yeah, well...
and still are.
These people that...
Or communists.
But these people that proclaim themselves to be anti-fascism, once again, they go, oh, we can't be fascists because look at our name. No. You are.
You can be a fascist.
You are. Right? You are far more fascist than any of the people that you proclaim are fascists and then go out in the street and try and assault. Far more fascist. I'm just saying, just pointing to reality.
Charity founders. It seems to be a common theme. People that found charities seem to be giving an awful lot of the money that they gather for the charity to the people that run the charity rather than the people who are supposed to benefit from the charity. So, and even our esteemed Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt MP, right?
Surname rhymes suspiciously with something that he actually is.
Yeah. Paid 66% of the money that came in to the chief executive of his charity.
Well, so charity founded by Jeremy Hunt paid 66% of income to chief executive. So Patient Safety Watch paid Hunt's former advisor Adam Smith more than £110,000 in a year to January. Okay, first of all, that's around the average salary for a charity director or a charity executive.
First of all, that doesn't matter. That's wrong.
But
especially when you're the Chancellor for the Exchequer or an MP to make a charity as an MP and then to give the money to the people running that charity rather than the people that are supposed to benefit it is surely an abuse of privilege and abuse of power.
Perhaps, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. But the point I'm trying to make here is it must not be a very good charity if it's pulling in what I would say £150,000 only in the space of a year. Because
it's a good charity for that guy. He got 110 grand.
Well, they would have signed up for Mr. Smith. They would have signed up Mr. Smith on the £110,000 salary or a pro rata or something like that.
Yeah, well, exactly. But shouldn't people that run charities maybe be on a percentage rather than a fixed fee?
No, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. As always, good sir. I mean, we are kind of always right on this show. Adam asks if they should get the esteemed actor John Bow on board. Well, I'll give this to Jeremy Hunt. I'll give this to Jeremy Hunt, and I'll give it to Adam here. At least they've got a charity.
Well, that's a point. That's a point. At least he actually made one. Right. So the Daily Mail are back on the next fear-mongering bandwagon.
So climate change?
Yeah, climate change.
Climate change!
So an international team of researchers has penned a new report titled World Scientists. Now, no definition of world scientists, just amorphous group of world scientists. Warning of climate emergency 2022. So could you not just as easily, if you were the Daily Mail, you could just as easily put up world scientists, you know, warn of mad beaver epidemic coming in 2024.
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposition. It's no basis in science. It's got no basis in data. The whole thing is just a complete lie.
Yeah, of course it is.
Is misinformation on a grand scale.
And the entire climate lobby are providing nothing but misinformation on a grand scale because nothing they say can be proved. And all we are working on faith here. It is a cult, right? We are working on blind faith because if you look at their track record and you look at what they told you in the past, every one of the models they put out,
yep,
we did this. We went through this, right? If they were to be believed, if we believed them and they'd been right, the Maldives would be underwater, not building a brand new international airport. New York would be underwater. The East Coast would be underwater. They predicted it would happen long ago. It didn't happen. And all we can do is take them on their track record. Why should we believe people who have consistently got things not just wrong, but catastrophically wrong?
The Arctic's ice-free, isn't it? You can sail right across the Arctic now, can't you?
Absolutely. Because they told us that you would be able to by now. Yeah?
Yeah.
But of course, if we just point out the reality of the situation, reality is not something that I say a large percentage of people these days are not best fond of. Now, all we are saying is take them on their track record and what they have actually predicted versus what has actually happened when you take their next predictions into your mind. Take it with an absolute massive grain of salt because they never get it right.
Indeed. And can I just point out, for those that maybe forgot, if the Arctic was ice-free and all the Antarctic ice sheets had melted, there would be zero rise in sea level because all that ice is floating on top of water. And what does ice do? It displaces the volume of water that it's equal to. So when the ice melts, the level of water stays exactly the same.
I don't think that's entirely true.
Yes, it is.
No, that would be, and let me play a little bit of devil's advocate here, because that would be true for the ice that's below the water level. So there is ice below the water level. The ice above the water.
No, it's true for it all, because it's all weight on the water. So it's floating. It's like, if you get it is entirely true. You get yourself a glass, right? Fill it half full with water, and then pile it high with ice that's sticking out the top of the glass. See when all that ice melts, the water will not have overrun the glass. Okay. And yet the ice was much higher than the glass.
No, okay, yeah, no, I do see your point. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Yeah,
yes,
call me.
And that's okay. Failing, but carry on to the next slide.
Yes, sir. Right, we have a video here, so we're going to play this video for you. I think if you were here during the intro, you might have seen this already.
We're here with a simple message. Get vaccinated. Update your COVID vaccine. It's incredibly effective, but the truth is not enough people are getting it. We've got to change that so we can all have a safe and healthy holiday season. That's why I'm getting my shot. We have a choice to make. Can we repeat what happened in the past winters? More infections, more hospitalizations, more loved ones getting sick, even dying from the virus? Or can we have a much better winter?
What's Joe talking about there?
He's telling people about how he's got his fifth.
Yeah, no. I heard that and I understood that.
Yeah.
But what he was talking about the previous winter, remember the previous winter when he went on TV, and I have to be careful with my words here, but he said the untreated were going to have a winter of sickness and death. Yeah?
Yeah.
Did that happen?
No.
I mean, all we have to do, once again, look at the actual data, evidence of the last winter, and put it up against what Mr. Biden here is saying, and make your own decision as to whether or not you want to put something in your body, right? If you want to go and get your shot, go and get your shot. If you don't want to get your shot, that's entirely up to you, right? It's your body, your choice. But all I would say is look at the previous winters, as Mr. Biden has said, and come to your own conclusions, because it's pretty easy to come to a fact-based conclusion if you look at the facts. I'm not going to give you your conclusion.
You don't need to go into the facts, because there's a slide later on and we'll have a little chat about the facts.
Okay, we'll have a little chat about the facts.
But his administration has also produced the next following little video for us.
I'll try and put it in now. And there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Halloween themed get your booster shot.
Spooky booster. I mean, I quite like that. I I think it's a very good play on the season. It really is.
Yeah. Except for the fact that it was giving us the wrong message, but hey.
You know what? You can't.
Can't win them all.
A broken clock is right twice a day. Just it's not right the rest of it. Shall we look at a tweet here from Alan D. Miller? Alan Miller being the leader and I guess head honcho of the Together Declaration. In fact, what is Alan saying here, John?
Well, he's saying that Oxford and Cambridge are talking about this. You'll have zones in the city, and you're not allowed to drive outside them. So it's restricting your movements.
That would be totally illegal, wouldn't it, John?
Well, I would have thought so. I thought we had the right. Well, we talked about rights earlier, but I thought we were supposed to have the right to travel, freedom of travel.
So under this new proposal, if any of Oxford's 150,000 residents drives outside of their designated district more than 100 days a year, he or she could be fined £70. Social credit system for Oxford then. You know when people said that this sort of thing was a conspiracy theory, John?
Yes, they did. They were conspiracy theorists.
Yeah,
they were tin hat wearing conspiracy theorists.
It's a bit of a puzzling one, isn't it? Because like many other conspiracy theorists, John, why do they always seem to come true? It is a puzzling question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it?
It's very, 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 very fiendish, as Militant Mushroom says in the chat there. Fiendish, I think, is a nice way of putting it, but this is absolutely ridiculous. If your council, because that's what this must be, the Oxford City Council.
Yeah, it's a council.
If your council try and tell you where you can go, when you can go, and how many times you can go a year, what I suggest you do is take your hand, raise your middle finger, and tell them where to go. Because that's you don't elect these people to literally oppress you. You don't elect them to do that.
And let's be fair. Most of the people didn't elect those people, if we refer back to our earlier discussion.
Yeah. No, £7.84 says in our chat, stop paying council tax. Oh, well, I would think that's the first place you would start, right?
I think so.
Why on earth would you pay money to people who are going to go, 265 days a year, you're not allowed out of your small neighbourhood.
That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. That's a climate change lockdown. By any other name.
Of course it is. And speaking of oppressive regimes, this tweet here from Guy Verhofstadt. This is the man that just spoke in Parliament Square, actually.
Yeah, well, this kind of rolls on from our conversation yesterday about the Chinese, the unseen and unreported Chinese police stations that exist in the West that are there solely to help their citizens find their way back to China.
So, Guy or Guy, whatever you want to call him, why the hell... Well, I'm doing a German accent, shall I? Why the hell would we tolerate Chinese police officers on our territory? Do we really want the Chinese Communist Party to control our societies?
Well, I'm sorry, Guy, but it's too late. It's just too late because...
What are you talking about, John?
You invited them in, you adopted their methods. What do you think the last 2 years were all about? It was a social experiment in keeping us controlled, a la Chinese style. Was it not? Or was it not? Am I wrong?
Listen to me very closely, John.
Have I gone down the conspiracy theory route?
Okay, this is how it works. You may not have gone down the conspiracy theory route, but we do not want to tell you that we are controlling you. So we will say you have gone down the conspiracy theory route whilst continuing to do this behind your back.
Yeah.
That is what is really going on here, John.
Indeed. And speaking of conspiracy theories...
Don't know what came over me there.
Right. why are these clowns walking about with pitchforks and they look like school kids?
So
what do they know about BlackRock?
Nothing. First of all,
they would. Yeah. So the whole thing's a setup.
Yeah, it's probably these are probably the children of BlackRock executives, right?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, these are bored. Look at them. Look at Stefan there over on the left with his glasses.
Yeah, they're just kids, and they've just been.
Maisie there in the mask.
Yeah, they've just been marshalled and paraded,
mm-hmm.
much like they did with Gettr. You know, they're there to protest BlackRock, and if you ask them what they're protesting, what are they actually protesting?
I think it's oil and gas. I think this is Just Stop Oil again, essentially. Well, not being Just Stop Oil because they're in New York.
Yeah, but I mean, why BlackRock? I mean, BlackRock invests in almost every business in the world.
That's probably
almost every business in the world. I mean, BlackRock owns what, 6% of Tesco or something like that.
Yeah, but BlackRock.
And I've seen people say, I'm not going to buy anything from Tesco anymore because BlackRock owns 6% of them. But you know what? See if you actually have a dig into who BlackRock or Vanguard.
They own 6% of your sodding house.
They own everything, so you're not going to buy much at all if you start boycotting BlackRock and Vanguard.
No, their job is to literally become a bigger company. That is all they do. They are investment firms, hedge funds, whatever.
The job nowadays seems to be to increase the level of wokeness to the point that no one can actually work properly without their approval.
Yeah, no.
So they are effectively becoming your new corporate masters.
Yeah, and the thing is, once again, we are sleepwalking into this dystopian hellscape, and we are allowing. I mean, I want to go back to the slide just a second because look at them. Look at them. You already know. Looking at this one here. Look at this one here. You already know this is woke. You know it's woke, right? You got the young girl. She's got the short hair. She's got the glasses. She's still wearing the face covering. This right here is woke. Mr. I think I called him Stefan over here. Definitely woke, right? This is a woke group of kids, and they are playing into the hands of people like BlackRock. They just don't quite understand it. Or either that or they do understand it, and they are, as I said, the kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, whatever, of BlackRock executives. Look at them, nice, brand new. They went to B&Q. If they've got such a thing in New York, got themselves some brand new pitchforks and walked into BlackRock with some goddamn pitchforks. Now, I am not going to tell you whether or not I think that pitchforks and torches are a good idea. In fact, I quite like the idea of them in some occasions, but what are they doing? They don't even know, do they?
No, they don't.
They don't.
So what are the Germans doing?
Before I put this, because this is the first time I've seen this, and before I put this slide up, I just want to have a bit of a giggle.
So, Germany being Germany and having closed, if you remember, it closed all its nuclear power plants after the tsunami that affected Japan, which is in the Pacific Rim of Fire and is subject to many a tsunami on occasion. Germany, not so much so. Haven't seen many tsunamis in Germany, but anyway, so they're having to switch back to coal because they can't get any gas because they've sanctioned Russia, which has cut off their gas supply.
I'm going to put this up.
Yeah, okay, yeah, those sanctions work well. So now they're digging up more coal, and to do so, they're having to take apart a wind farm, which is sitting on top of their coal.
This is just absolutely bloody beautiful. Wind farm in Germany is being dismantled to expand coal mine, yeah?
Yeah, so it's obviously an open cast coal mine, and hey, the coal runs under the wind farm.
And do you know what?
Get the coal. The coal.
What people don't seem to understand, and this is directly looking at people like Just Stop Oil and Extinction Rebellion, is coal power stuff. Wind farms do not. It's that simple. Coal works. Tried and tested. Absolutely works. Means we will not freeze. Means we will, production can still occur and things like that. Wind farm, we'll freeze. We'll starve. So, do you want to preside? Do you want to continue down your activism and preside over mass amounts of death? Or do you want to look at the status quo, think, well, we've got no real choice to continue the status quo until we actually find something else that works, or we go nuclear. Simple. People in these activist groups they're stupid. They are a cult.
Speaking of stupid,
Rashid Sunook.
I'm not interested, Rashid, in any cultural holidays in any religion. And like I said yesterday, so stop trying to ram these things down our throats.
It's not just Rashid here who does this, is it? It's every Prime Minister.
Yeah, I know, and they all need to stop it because we don't care. And you know what? If you were a Sikh or a Hindu or whatever it is, right? Would you not think that's just another politician jumping on the bandwagon, right?
Well,
because they all do it.
Yeah.
So why would you think, oh, that's great that he's participating in some nonsense from the big sky fairy or multiple sky fairies in this case? So why are we interested? Well, we're not, and we really don't care, and it's just another sign of you being a virtue signaling twat.
Yeah, I kind of think you're right. I mean, I will give him a pass on this one because I believe it is for his own religion. I could be wrong, right? But I'll give him a pass on this one. But when you see every other day, it's some other religious ceremony or something, and they're tweeting out these images, and oh, we've been to this party, oh, happy this, happy that. Nobody cares. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Because you're not going to go to India, for example, and go, oh, it's St. George's Day. They don't care.
No, they don't care.
They don't care, right? Okay, I'm happy that the people have celebrated Diwali. Their celebration, they're absolutely entitled to celebrate it. It's not something that I celebrate. I am not religious in any sense, and that could be wrong. You never know. But I don't care. I'm happy if you do care, but I don't care. And like John said, I don't want it rammed down my throat. I don't want anything rammed down my throat, really. I quite like my throat not being sore. And that's why I take 8 vitamin D a day.
Okay. Moving on. Right, so it's caused a bit of a backlash, and quite rightly so, because I mean we spoke about this yesterday. Because how can someone who has admitted they did something wrong, and regardless of circumstance, right, regardless of motive, she admitted she'd done something wrong and resigned, right? How can someone then take her and put her back in the same post a week later, right, and not expect?
It's only been a week.
Yeah, and not expect to be criticised. Right?
Well, I say it's only been a week. In politics, what's a week? It's everything.
Well, in British politics, it's like a change of government.
Change of government, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, despite a backlash, the Prime Minister says she offers experience. Is that experience in breaking the ministerial code?
And how long was she in the Home Office for before then?
Well, yeah, a week, I think.
Not
2 weeks.
Not long. If he could have put pretty useless back in there. That would have been experience.
He could have done anything.
Yeah.
Than put her back in a position of power there. Now, it's like it just reeks, doesn't it? It just reeks. And you know what? I hope she's forced to either resign or he's forced to fire her, because that'll bring down his government as well. And he deserves to have his government brought down because he has schemed to bring down 2 previous governments.
Yeah, he has. And going back to what I said yesterday, Suella Braverman being in the position that she is in now only happened because, in my view, in my opinion, she schemed with him to do what she did to exit the last position. She did it on purpose. She did it with Rishi. Rashid helped her write her letter saying, oh, we must take responsibility for what we do. And she did it on the promise that she would go back into position. And he can't renege on that, or she could open her mouth. He's screwed. He's damned.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's that. So one, we know why she resigned, and we know we know why she resigned.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. 2, we know who was behind it, and it was to bring down Liz Truss.
It was.
And 3, how can he be so stupid or and this I'm leaning more towards the second one here, or so arrogant that he just puts her straight back into the post that she resigned from because she broke the ministerial code. So it's like, what's the consequence for breaking the ministerial code? Get the same job back a week later?
But it's because she did.
That's what you're telling us it is, Mr. Prime Minister.
Yeah, it's because she did it on purpose at the behest of Rishi Sunak, in my opinion.
So you know what? That's the kind of integrity he's bringing to this government. That's his integrity.
He's obviously behind what happened. He's obviously behind what happened with Suella Braverman. And the way she crafted her letter was, and made it public, was to bring down Liz Truss.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I'll say this openly, and, you know, you can challenge me if you want, Mr. Prime Minister, but you are a lying, scheming, cheating scumbag. And you personally will be the ruin of this country.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I absolutely agree with you. But then at the same time, aren't they all?
Yes, but some are worse than others.
Yeah, no. Once again, you're absolutely right. Now, we're going to move on to the idiot that is Talk TV's very own Mike Graham.
Yeah.
What is he doing wrong here?
Right, well, you know what? I don't think he's actually doing anything wrong.
I think he's just being a bit stupid.
Well, even then, maybe not, because this guy, right, was talking to Americans.
This is Trevor Noah.
Yeah, who is a South African.
Yes.
Right, but he's talking to Americans.
In a very self-effacant accent.
Yeah, but he's talking to Americans, and I think that's what Mike Graham's referring to. Because they're agreeing with Trevor Noah that this whole backlash about Suella Braverman has got nothing to do with the fact that she lied and or resigned and or admitted she breached the ministerial code and or is not a security risk.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with that. It's purely because she's black. It's all to do with skin colour.
It definitely isn't.
No, according to Trevor, it is. According to Trevor, it's all to do with skin colour. And the fact we don't want a black Prime Minister, even though we don't have a black Prime Minister.
No, we don't. We have an Indian Prime Minister.
Well, ethnically, he's not even Asian.
No. We have a British Indian Prime Minister. He was born here.
Well, can we just say we have a British Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Because that's what he is.
Yeah, no, I'm quite happy to say that.
I mean, why does your ethnicity have to come into your position? So we have a Prime Minister,
but the thing
and
is,
he's saying it's all about skin colour, and it's got nothing to do with skin colour.
But this is
the guy's incompetent. The guy's incompetent, and the guy's been found out to be a liar. That's why there's a backlash against him, and because he's done something incredibly stupid in putting someone who resigned for breaking basically the law, the ministerial code. So someone who resigned for doing that, he put them back in the same job a week later. That's stupidity or arrogance. And either way, he fails to meet the criteria to be a legitimate head of government.
I want to just address what you said there, and you're absolutely right. And we don't want to fall into that trap here. He is British, right? He was born here. He was raised here. He was educated here. He is a British man. It doesn't matter what he looks like. And I don't want to fall into that trap as well. So... And the reason that I am falling into that trap is because of how much it is rammed down my throat that is this some big thing because of the way he looks, his skin colour. It's them that put that on us, and I don't want to fall into that trap. And so I actually apologise. You're absolutely right, John. You are. Shall we move on to our friend, David Nolan?
Yeah. And David does great work, especially around the common pass thing, the common passport that everybody's tried to implement and nobody's really succeeded yet.
Yeah, stopcommonpass.org is David Nolan's website.
But ITV seem to be trying.
Yeah, I don't quite get why they're doing this.
Because I thought this wasn't mandated anywhere, so why are they doing this? And can they actually do this? Is it legal for them to do this?
I don't think so, first of all. And second of all, we don't know. This could be their policies that they wrote because they were filming the show during the time that the passport was a thing. Yeah.
Oh, maybe because they started filming it during it.
No, we're on to another series now, so they're filming again.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. But what I'm thinking is this, and this is just me thinking they've made a mistake, right? And this is me giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
And the benefit of the doubt says they simply issued the same thing that they issued last year. Yeah? They didn't bother to update it, and when you actually get to the studio, they're probably not going to check your COOF status certification. Because nobody's got any for domestic. You can't get it on the NHS app anymore for domestic. So where are they going to get this from?
Yeah, true.
Right?
True.
That's what I would suggest is going on here, but ITV have not responded, so we can't know.
Yeah, I know.
And I know that sounds, I'm sorry that I'm not going to go on a rant about it and stuff like that, but I think this could just be a genuine mistake, and I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt here, because they were forced to do it last year, and I think this could be just the same text that they put out. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm giving the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah. Okay.
Kate
Ferguson here. Now, this just sums up the theatre, the performance that is British politics.
Yeah.
Because after a very good debut opening, PMQ's, so Prime Minister's Question Times exchange from Rishi Sunak, after a week of infighting, he manages to get his MPs roaring with delight. He leans in all the classics, being tough on crime, slams Labour for the support of eco-extremists, and bangs a drum for Brexit. And that's exactly what this was. It was a performance piece.
Well, that's all PMQs. It's all the Commons is a performance piece, because it's constantly on TV now.
It's a performance piece to camera. That's all they're doing. It's virtue signalling. It's just appearing to talk the talk.
Yeah, of course it is.
The question is, will he walk the walk? That's where the truth comes out.
The answer is
he's not going to apply appropriate actions.
The answer is categorically no. I can categorically tell you that he Rishi Sunak is going to make you, me, and everybody else listening to this poorer. He's going to make us poorer, because he is going to usher in austerity. Now, am I saying that Labour would have been any better? No. They may have tried to avoid austerity and bankrupted us the other way, right? But either way, they are going to make us poorer. These people are not going to walk the walk for you. And that's the reality of the situation. So, like John said, it's a performance piece. And I would say that it's not just PMQs that's a performance piece these days. It's every piece of debate that goes on in the Commons, because it is constantly on TV. BBC Parliament is a constantly running channel. They know that they are performing to camera at all times. So they are on stage. It's a Disney term, right? Disney call their they call their staff cast members, because when they come out into where the performance space is, they are on stage. They have to be in character. They have to do this, that, and the other. Same applies for the Commons. The second they walk into that chamber, they're on stage, and it is a performance. It's a performance. You're right. John talks about British citizenship and duty. I'm going to make John big screen for this.
Right, so I'd just like to briefly speak about the whole performance that's happened over the last week or so, where a member of the government has railroaded another member of the government, i.e. the sitting PM at that point, to resign. In fact, he's done it twice now, and then taken over the position of power. So to me, that seems to be an abuse of power, an abuse of privilege, and an abuse of position. And he's got his own way eventually, despite the fact that it wasn't his mandate that the party was elected on. It was really nothing to do with anything he did that the party was elected on. And since he's been in that government that was elected, he's done nothing but destroy businesses, individuals' lives, and any sense of citizenship that people had for this once proud country. So the question I have for you, people of Britain, citizens of Britain, if you really are a citizen of Britain and you wish to defend your country, is it right that you should stand back and do nothing when people illegitimately purport to lead you? When people illegitimately purport to be your masters? Should you sit back and be good serfs? Or should you do something about it? You know, it's a question that only you can answer and a question only you can ponder. But it seems to me that it becomes harder and harder to sit back and do nothing when the people that are ruling your lives, and let's use that word as it means, ruling your lives, because they're making the rules and you're following them. So really, is it time that things changed? Maybe.
I can answer you. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it is.
I don't see a path to us being prosperous. I don't see a path to us being a wealthy nation once again. I don't see a path to us being anything other than a global joke, which is what we appear to be right now. I mean, you've got people in America, prominent media individuals, old media maybe, tweeting out things like, haha, Britain, you're now being ruled by the WEF and you didn't vote for it. People are noticing what is going on over here and they think it's funny. They think it's a joke.
You know what? It's Canada too.
Yeah, it is. It is.
We are Canada too. Yeah. We're the next step.
People don't understand what has happened here. The word usurped is true. They have usurped the government. They have usurped the democratic mandate. They have usurped Boris Johnson, right? And think what you will of him. I don't particularly like the man at all. But he was elected on that manifesto. He was elected with that mandate. And he has been usurped. And you're absolutely right, John. I think when he was planning to run with 102 nominations for the leadership, something's happened in the background to spook him.
Oh yeah, he's been spooked. Yeah.
Because if it had gone to the members, they would have put him back in place.
Oh yeah, either one. Yeah, there's no doubt.
There's no doubt. No doubt.
And you know what? It didn't occur to him just then that, oh, I can't really lead this party if they don't like me, because he was just going to ride on the coattails of the party membership and the people who love him, right? So he was going to be another popular prime minister, regardless of how many tools he couldn't get in position or not. He could have effectively have worked behind the scenes and got rid of all the MPs that were of no use to him, and then got people into positions that would have supported them. Yeah. So, you know, he's used to that. Everybody, they're all used to working like that. They all think they're Machiavelli. So something seriously spooked Johnson. Something seriously spooked him.
I agree. And going back to your little rant there, which I hope you do clip and put out as its own individual thing, because it was actually really very good. You're absolutely right. We are a joke. We are being laughed at. And what do we do? What do we do? Do we do nothing? Do we sit back and let these people literally take control of us and take control of our lives with no mandate, with no right? Or do we stand up and say no more? And I mean, I've seen the petitions. Millions and millions and millions of people now signed a gov.uk petition for a general election. And
so what?
So what?
Yeah.
First of all, if you have your general election and Labour win, nothing changes.
So what? Yeah.
So what? If Rishi wins, nothing changes.
Nothing's changing, people.
Nothing's changing. What you need is a new system. What you need is this system to be ripped from the ground up, metaphorically, thrown away, and something new that works for all of us. And am I the person to tell you what that is? No, I don't know. But what I do know is it needs to happen. Because if it doesn't, we are just the serfs, and we will continue to be the serfs. They don't care about you. They don't care about me.
They don't care about you.
And speaking of people
not caring about you,
Ursula von der Leyen. Breaking news from Angelo Guilano here on Twitter. The goal of the EU is not to freeze, but to confiscate Russian assets.
Angelo Giuliani.
Angelo Giuliano.
Giuliani. Right, okay. Anyway, yeah, as you were saying, the goal of the EU is not to freeze,
but to confiscate Russian assets in Europe. But to do this, a legal framework must first be created. Ursula von der Leyen, president of the EU mafia. Remember, today is Russia, tomorrow it will be any EU citizen. And, you know,
I think that sums it up pretty well, Ben.
I think it does. And you have to be careful with these people, because once again, someone like von der Leyen, completely unelected. Completely unelected. And yet, she's in charge. She's in charge of, what, 26 nations? 26 nations! It's ridiculous!
Yeah.
What do we have here, John?
Well, what we have here is some data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's quite interesting data. And the blue line that starts off very low is people diagnosed with the SARS-CoV-2 infection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And the red line that starts off at the top of the screen and continues at the top of the screen is excess death, are people that have died of all causes.
Okay.
Okay. And the orange line is the normal average death rate.
Okay.
So this is Australia.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can see that their death rate was in excess from June 2021.
Yep.
Okay. And it's never really, it came close to average round about August, and then it went back up again. So their death rate from all cause has increased dramatically.
Yeah, but what I'm also seeing here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is whilst it stays well above the average, it is staying well above in line with the average. So it's staying constant.
Yeah, it seems to be. Apart from a peak when there was a SARS-CoV-2 infection peak, that correlates, and one could assume that some of those excess deaths were attributable to SARS-CoV-2. But the rest, and you've got to remember that Australia is a fantastic control group, because it's only saying that it had like 30 people die from SARS-CoV-2. Okay, so it's a fantastic control group because it never really had a problem. So what the hell did all these people die from?
Your guess why is have as good as mine?
Why have they got, a massive above average death rate?
Once again,
consistently throughout the year.
Once again, I could not speculate, John, but your guess is as good as mine.
But it's an interesting look at statistics.
It is, and we can move on to what I imagine is the lighter part of the show now, with the gift that keeps on giving, that is the New York Post.
Yeah, okay.
I park my car wherever I want because I'm a millionaire. Only broke people care about tickets.
This is 100% correct. This guy's a 27-year-old day trader.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be a millionaire. He's got a fancy BMW, and he parks it wherever he likes because he just views a parking ticket as the cost of parking.
Yeah.
So he's had over 1,800 quid this year alone in parking tickets, and it doesn't matter. And this is the case when you have enough money. The law doesn't apply to you, and we've said this on a number of occasions. Once you've got enough money, the law doesn't apply, and if you don't have any money, in a lot of cases, the law doesn't apply either because there's little it can do on both sides.
Well, you're exactly right, and he's exactly right, because if you do pay a fine, you get out of it, right? You get out of it.
Yeah,
so you just pay a fine, and you no longer have to.
It happens all the time. I mean, there was a guy I remember a guy in Glasgow way back in the 80s who went and bought, those Dodge Ram trucks?
Yes.
He bought one of them and had it shipped over, drove it around Glasgow, because he could park that anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the council couldn't tow it away because it was too heavy for the lorry.
Fantastic. So
he could only ever get a parking ticket.
That is fantastic. It's funny.
Yeah, that's why he did it. Yeah.
I find all of this funny as well. I find it funny that every time we try and tell you something, we are always proved right, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
because
not to stroke our own egos here, but
I know.
riding the line between both extremes and sitting somewhere in the middle and looking at everything equally and taking each individual situation on its own merit kind of works, doesn't it, John?
It kind of does.
Yeah.
So apparently, remember we come out with remember I discovered that the thumbs up emoji was an anathema to the Generation Z because they thought it was very, very rude.
Yes.
And so apparently that's true enough, and they want us to stop using it.
I'm not going to stop using it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to stop using it because a bunch of people who are emotionally stunted get offended. No, is the answer. I don't care about your emotions, right?
They put a whole backstory behind something that shouldn't have one. It's just ridiculous.
Hostile thumbs up, John. Hostile. I don't care if you find something hostile. It doesn't mean I do, and it doesn't mean I have to see it in the way that you do, right? I know, Gen Z. I know that because the government forced two parents to work to have a household, you've got helicopter parents who never knew how to tell you no, right? But sometimes you got to be told no. And this is one of them. No. Do not police my language. Do not police what symbolism I want to use. Do not police me. If you find these things inappropriate, if you find it all very inappropriate, I don't care.
Anyway,
I don't care.
Speaking of inappropriate.
From Suzanne Seddon, Hunter Biden's flirty
well, it's
Chinese
actually
secretary.
From the New York Post. It's another one blocked from the New York Post.
Oh, come on, give it to me.
Well,
give it to me, baby.
She's the new focus of the Republicans looking at Hunter Biden's dirty and salted past because she's got links right into the CCP. So Hunter Biden, he just can't cut a break, can he?
Well, he's. I'm sorry that he's a crack-addicted criminal, allegedly. And
staying with alleged crack-addicted criminals. So the next one from the New York Post gives us priests and nuns watch porn online too. Says Pope Francis.
There's people too, John. There's people too.
But hold on. Haven't the church been telling you for years not to fiddle yourself? Not to do that because you'll go blind.
Yeah.
And then doing it surreptitiously with the choir boys.
I was about to say that didn't apply to choir boys, did it, John?
I'm not sure which side of the fence this guy sits, to be fair.
I'm not sure he really cares.
Yeah.
But priests and nuns watch porn online too. And they probably do. They almost definitely do. Just saying.
Just got through a lot of candles in the year in that monastery.
So the car company Kia had to recall 71,000 SUVs, tells owner to park outside because of fire risk.
Now, I'm guessing here, but do you think you know what those SUVs are powered by?
They're almost probably electric cars, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So, and we've seen the electrics catching fire. So this is why people want to work from home, because they're dirty, clatty bastards.
So thousands are ashamed to go to work because they can't afford soap and deodorant. Thousands too ashamed to go to work because they can't afford soap. I'm poor as fuck, right?
Yeah.
Let me just call it as it is. John's never been as poor as I currently am, right? This is how poor I am. I have nothing. I don't have a pot to piss in. I have a lovely bath and beautify myself every single day, don't I, John?
He does.
Every single
Spares
day.
no expense.
Well, you don't have to spare expense because actually you can still get deodorant for £1, right? You could still get quite good shampoos for cheap.
It's a ridiculous nonsense story from Sky News on this occasion.
I know. Trudy says, I don't believe anyone is too poor for a cake of soap.
No, it's a ridiculous nonsense story. It really
People
is.
are not going to work because they are so used to being paid from working from home that they don't bloody well want to. And this is why this is why Elon Musk, going back to Elon and Twitter, this is why he turned around and he said in that all hands meeting, if you're going to work from home and not come into the office, I'm going to sack you.
Yeah, he said you're not working for me.
Yeah, because companies made it too easy. They made it too easy to sit at home and do nothing. Christ, our tech guy.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
Anyway, moving on.
Yep. Hold on. Let me just reset something there. All right.
Moving on. What kind of man would do this? That's just horrible, isn't it? and the actual tattoo is even worse than the photo.
You say, what kind of man would do this? Me, I'd do that. I would do that. That is fucking fantastic. That is absolute genius. I love it.
And I love it. With that, I think that's really the show closed, and there's no last slide. There's nothing to see there. There's nothing to see there. There's nothing to say about that last slide that you're going to show in a second. Nothing to see. Nothing to say.
But there is actually one more thing. There is actually one more thing I do want to talk about.
This is what's wrong with the country. You can't make jokes like that.
No, you can't make.
That's wrong with people. You should be able to make jokes because jokes are harmless, and actually, jokes diffuse situations and allow people to come to a common ground. And removing that from society does nothing but bring in division and diversion.
Look, as a disabled man myself, I do like a good disabled joke. I do. In fact, I like some of the harshest, most crippling disabled jokes, shall we say? I find them funny, and like you say, it diffuses a situation and it finds common ground and it can make you comfortable with one another, because there are differences between people, and we can either celebrate those differences, which I believe joking is, or we can just go divide ourselves based upon them. I want to talk about one more thing though, and I was going to put it on the front of the show, but to be honest with you, I completely forgot. But in Waukesha, Wisconsin, yesterday, Darrell Brooks was found guilty on 76 counts, 6 of which intentional homicide. And if you've ever watched any of his trial over the last 14, 15 days, what a shit show, John. I mean, this dude, on the first day of trial, fired his attorneys in the court.
It's beginning to sound a bit like someone else's trial, isn't it?
So he fired his attorneys in the court. The judge was sitting at the bench, flabbergasted, and kept saying to him, do you understand what this means? Do you understand you're waiving your rights? And he did it, and he represented himself throughout this entire trial. He got removed from the courtroom and put into another courtroom countless times. He argued with the judge all the way through, speaking legal jargon as he saw it to the judge, trying to tell her what her position was and what she had to do. He was, under Wisconsin law, wrong, by the way, and we do have to point that out. What I find the most egregious, though, is that in representing himself, he was able to cross-examine victims and victims' parents, people he, parents of children he killed.
Yeah.
And when he was sentenced, yesterday, I say sentenced, when he was found guilty, his sentencing is coming up. Someone screamed, "Burn in hell," and got removed from the court. And I was thinking, damn right, because what Darrell Brooks did is egregious. He drove into a Christmas parade last November.
Yeah, well, thanks for lightening the mood there, Ben. That's been great.
No.
Yeah.
I am going to line
so
them.
we structure these little talks such that all the fun comes at the end. Thanks, Ben.
If you want some fun, go and watch that trial. Pick any day from it, and you will have a right laugh.
Right.
Duke called himself a sovereign citizen throughout.
Oh God! Don't get started on that.
That's what he called himself, John.
Yeah. Okay. That works well in legal circles. It always does.
And on that note, John.
Indeed. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you, one and all, for attending this episode 150 of Chasing Dissent Live from me, John, and from Ben. It's good day.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and if you want to support us, links are in the chat. Bye for now.
Got time for this evening, so it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everyone.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience to talk. Good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth. Good night, John Boy. Good night, Tim Bob.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Tim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.